saw over the course of the daytime hours in Kenosha and into the early evening, which were largely peaceful demonstrations in the face of law enforcement.
That is to help people who need people money and all this. He's going to Pakistan.
Welcome, Habibis. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome back. It's another episode of Habibi Power Hour, our 20th episode, if you could believe that. I'm Siraj. I'm Siraj Hashmi.
I'm Mujahed Kobbe.
And we got a heck of a show for you. We have a lot more videos this time around, just because the last week is just chock full of it. But I feel like we really got to start off with. I'm gonna highlight this column I wrote in Rocka News or Roca News. I call it Rocka News. It's like, it's
a Rocka News.
No, I keep thinking of like the Kanye West, Jay-Z. It's the Rock, but. Whatever. So I published this column about the unrest rocking America and how it's not all Trump's fault. And man, I have never gotten the type of I don't think I've ever gotten the type of hate for writing an article than I did that. And that's probably because everybody felt I was going too hard on the left. And then the criticism I was getting from the right was that that Trump isn't at fault at all. And so it's just like I can't win at all.
No, you just get it from both sides.
Just get
the
it
way
from
you
both
like
sides.
it.
Getting Eiffel Towered by both sides. No, but I bring this up because as we're talking about like where the place the blame, like this whole thing is very messy. And, if you're talking about what we've seen over the last 3 months, when we're talking about how all of this started after the George Floyd death, we've seen, obviously we saw protests beforehand, completely unrelated to police brutality. This year, you saw in Michigan, particularly the state capitol, protesters, going into the Capitol and protesting the Governor Gretchen Whitmer's coronavirus restrictions. And while that was peaceful, the Minneapolis protests that then turned into violence and chaos and resulted in a state of emergency being declared. And then throughout the country, you had cities and towns, having plenty of unrest. The thing is, and the reason why obviously it's come to the forefront is Joe Biden this week decided he was going to condemn the violence, and he went to Pittsburgh. And I'll just read a quick quote for you because I don't have a video for it, but instead of just condemning it, he laid the blame on at Trump's feet, saying, quote, "It's getting worse, and you know why, because Donald Trump has fueled every fire, because he refused to even acknowledge that there is a racial justice problem in America, because he won't stand up to any form of violence." And then he tweeted that same day, "Does anyone believe there will be less violence in America if Donald Trump is reelected?" And I think there was like a mixed bag of answers where most people were saying yes and no. But before we go on, Lauren Boley, thank you. Lauren says, please use for the Get Wajahed Ali as a guest fund. I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that.
That would be great.
Yeah. I don't think he would agree to it. I mean, he and I are friends or friendly, although he's been going hard at me, particularly frequently, specifically this piece. But the reason why I think there's been such a negative response to this from the left is because I think, one, they don't want to admit that a lot of the protests have been hijacked by bad faith actors on the left who want to just see chaos and destruction. And there has been too much apologia, or there have been too many apologists for this type of protest. I can't.
Too many. I didn't hear. What?
You know, it's the apologia.
Apologia.
Apologia. So like, that's not to say that like there hasn't been, you know, left-wing violence, there hasn't been right-wing violence. Like, there has been violence on both sides, but a lot of it has been in some ways very isolated, almost lone wolf stuff. There have been very few cases where it was just like clear cut. This is straight up. You can, you know, black and white. You can blame this side. There's no question about it. Like, if we're looking at like this Portland, this most recent, you know, the Patriot Prayer. While they're a far right group, some would argue that they're a far right extremist group. You had this one individual by the name of Aaron Danielson, goes by Jay. He was shot and killed during a pro-Trump truck rally. And if you saw any of the footage of it, and I actually have some footage here that I can play and give you an idea just how fucking crazy it was. So hold on one second. Okay, so that was pretty aggressive confrontation.
You're right.
Here's another one. Okay, like this guy is firing a fucking paintball gun at people, these counter protesters, and like sooner, like later on, this one guy, I don't think it was that person in particular who's firing the paintball gun, was shot and killed, and authorities have identified Michael Reinl as an Antifa supporter and a person of interest in the killing of Aaron Danielson. Have no idea if he actually did it, but person of interest. Hopefully we'll get more information on that. But people are calling that straight up left-wing violence, and it might very well be. I mean, Portland is kind of of all right-wing. The possibilities, of all the, Portland's very right-wing.
So right-wing.
Of all the possibilities that you can have you know, violence in Portland on that night, the most likely, I guess, outcome is one in which there is a political disagreement. And that's where you can be like, okay, that logically seems like something that would be, you know, political confrontation inspired that act of violence. I just want to address a couple of the things I didn't get to address in my piece, because there are too many instances of violence coming from either side, and I used a very small like sliver or scope to sort of paint just in the last 3 months how the left has basically milked a lot of the violence, the rioting, the looting, to their benefit. And I wrote this particular bit that I think actually speaks to just the state of our society right now. And that is, each side has something to gain from the unrest, which means there's little, if any, incentive to end it It's no longer an issue that needs to be dealt with, but rather one that each side can extort for political benefit at America's expense. And just in the last few months, we, in Minneapolis, there was a video of, and this is something that I was going to tweet about, but I figured I'd wait and talk about it on the show. In Minneapolis, there was a white man dressed in all black, carrying an umbrella, dubbed as Umbrella Man. We still don't know this man's identity. The last article I saw on anything relating to this guy was end of July, like July 28th. And police identified Umbrella Man as someone who was supposedly part of the Aryan Cowboys. He's a white supremacist. They issued a search warrant on him. They haven't charged him with anything, so they didn't release his name. But there's been no follow-up. There's been a full month and there's been no news. So I'm starting to think what actually happened, because did you see this video?
No.
Okay, let me play it real quick. And this is a video posted on May 28th in Minneapolis.
I ain't got part of that shit. Dude. Oh, I zoomed in. I'll zoom out a little bit. Those cops will come for you if you're pulling that crap.
Okay, so I don't want to play the whole thing because it's a minute and a half, but you can clearly see that this guy is breaking windows at the AutoZone, which later is engulfed in flames. And the police and people, observers of this believe that this guy was trying to incite a riot, and we don't have 100% confirmation of that. Essentially. Yeah, let's take a drink. But I bring that up because there's still a lot of moving pieces in all of this. And if we're talking about right-wing violence just in the last 3 months, you have this Umbrella Man. Didn't kill anyone, but it looked like he was trying to start a riot, allegedly. We can't confirm that 100%, essentially. But then what you can confirm is the Boogaloo Boys in Oakland, California. This is a 32-year-old. I think I'm trying to remember the guy's rank. He was former military. His name's Stephen Carrillo. He shot and killed one federal law enforcement officer and wounded another. And they were part of the Department of Homeland Security. They did it under the cover of the George Floyd protests because they thought they could get away with it. And they're trying to start a civil war. The Boogaloo Boys, it's a far-right extremist group. They are their main goal is to start basically a racial civil war, a second civil war in the United States. And then you have the case of Kyle Rittenhouse, who we're not 100% sure what's going to happen there, because you have essentially I'm saying that too much. We don't know
100% too much. So yeah. I'm
you're filling in with essentially, because you have Kyle Rittenhouse traveling from Antioch, Illinois to Kenosha, Wisconsin. And based on the video evidence that we've seen, he's getting into these confrontations where he is only opening fire on people who have attacked him. And if the argument that the case that could be made that it was his firing his weapon was done in self-defense was that he didn't go there and just shot people indiscriminately. If he really wanted to murder anyone, he could have just done it and could have gotten away with it.
Right. I think he was I think he was just a confused kid thinking he was going down to do something honorable and righteous and stuff.
Yeah. The thing is that there's an argument to be made about why he shouldn't have been there, because it's stupid and reckless, and that he could have
very much.
He killed two
He killed
people,
3 people.
and wounded another. But if you are an individual, you are entitled. You have your First Amendment rights. You have a right to protest. He has a right to be there. It's not like he can go. Like, the best way of putting it is anybody, whether they're armed or not, can be at a protest. They can be anywhere they want to be in America if it's public, if it's in the public domain. If he's not like trespassing or something like that.
Right.
And that's kind of where we find ourselves with this. I mean, I think the way this is going, if you have been following the Twitter account of his attorney, John Pierce,
fucking moron,
who may be the dumbest person and the dumbest attorney I've ever seen, has been making the argument that this guy, first of all, he goes on Tucker Carlson, says this is 100% self-defense. And then he gets on Twitter, and I don't have the tweet in front of me, but I'm going to say it. He essentially says
100%
that Kyle Rittenhouse is a revolutionary. He is trying to start the second American Revolution, and this was the shot heard round the world. Like, you cannot win a court case on self-defense if you are painting your client as a revolutionary. You just can't.
Right.
He's if that's the argument he's going in with, I guarantee you that Kyle Rittenhouse will be found guilty of those charges.
Well, and of terrorism.
So the one thing that I think the right is getting wrong on Kyle Rittenhouse is that I think they've been too quick to lionize this guy. I feel like it's gotten to the point where it's just because the left has already deemed this guy a murderer, that
and white supremacist.
It's like, and the white supremacist, that the like almost the logical reaction or the fallback is, well, this guy was like defending businesses and from being burned down. He was trying to stop the rioting and looting, and therefore he's one of our guys. Like,
right, but I think it's not. You would see more people on the right saying what he did was stupid and irresponsible more than trying to lionize him. And I'm talking about like more prominent people.
I highlight Jesse Kelly, who has a pretty big platform, because he was talking about how, like, he deleted the tweet and I put him on the list. I put him on the list for it because it was just like a dumb tweet. He was talking about how, Kyle Rittenhouse is going to, kill it when he gets older, because he's going to have to like, fight, beautiful conservative girls back with a bat, because he'll have like a few million, several millions of dollars. He'll have a couple of pelts on the wall. And when you hear a couple of pelts, you think, is that how he's describing people?
No, that's exactly how he is.
Like, come on. Like, I know he's edgy, but like, really?
He pushes the limit a lot of the times.
Almost too much.
Yeah. And
so
when it comes to it, like, the other side of it is, you see, especially in Portland, that they are doing absolutely jack shit about it for 3-4 months. Nobody's doing anything. So if you have another group roll through it, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, that brings up like the whole aspect of, like, if you feel like law enforcement is not doing its job, you're going to have armed civilians try to step up and enforce the rule of law when they're not deputized, or they cannot operate.
They're going to want to protect themselves.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I don't know what the thought process was of Kyle Rittenhouse, but these armed militias that are showing up are trying to calm the tensions by stopping these riots by showing up armed, thinking that's going to be a deterrent. And in some cases it may be, but in cases like Kyle Rittenhouse, it wasn't. So that's just the risk that's going to happen.
Right.
But I mean, like everybody thinks that like Trump is 100% responsible for all the
Essentially.
things, yeah, responsible for all the violence that's happening in the country. And while he is the president and the buck stops with him, it's not like he's going out and inciting all these people to go burn down their cities and towns, or to, you know, promote looting or promote, you know, bail funds that are releasing violent criminal or people charged with violent crimes, like the
Right.
Minnesota Freedom Fund. I mean, which Kamala Harris did, and a lot of
And
Biden staffers do.
Exactly. And Kamala Harris is saying that this isn't going to stop. Don't stop. Be heard. Keep getting out there. Go out there and make noise.
Mhm.
And then you have people in the squad who are saying that what's happening is good.
Yeah.
People need to do more. They need
Yeah.
to get out there and be louder. And just it's only property and all of these different kind of wordings that they want to put in place of it.
Yeah.
And for them to solely say that Trump is saying we need law and order. Trump is saying that he wants to send the feds in, and they're saying that this is worse and is causing more violence than people egging and cheering on the riots, saying
Yeah.
that they're mostly peaceful, you know, covering them up and not wanting to actually showcase what exactly is going on in some of the places. They want to tweet out pictures of them eating breakfast burritos in the park.
So getting to you know, before we get to Trump's
But I say you should have a mostly peaceful shawarma instead of a burrito.
I do. I mean,
New shirts in the merch store. New shirts in the merch store.
we'll get. Yeah, if you go to Habibi Bros right now, you can check that out. Of course, we got our shameless plug. Do we still have that promo? Are we still using that promo code?
Yeah, Sharia 69.
There we
Nice.
go. There we go. I'm putting that down on the bottom ticker so y'all can see that. No, because like, so here is, first of all, here's how CNN has been trying to paint some of the protests and riots in Kenosha.
Multiple locations that have been burning in Kenosha, Wisconsin over the course of the night. A second night since Jacob Blake was seen shot in the back 7 times by a police officer. And what you are seeing now, these images came and come in stark contrast to what we saw over the course of the daytime hours in Kenosha and into the early evening, which were largely peaceful demonstrations in the face of law enforcement. It wasn't until night fell that things began to get a little bit more contentious. Things were thrown back and forth. Police started using some of those crowd dispersal tactics like tear gas, even playing very loud sounds to push them out. And then what you are seeing, the common theme that ties all of this together, is an expression of anger and frustration over what people feel like has become an all too familiar story playing out in places from across the country, not just here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Christine, Laura.
All right, thank you so much.
All right,
The banner kills me. The banner kills me so much.
Fiery but mostly peaceful. I mean, come on, guys. It's no longer a protest if things are on fire.
Right. And you can see the narrative, the way it was flipped, because before it was like it's all mostly peaceful. Now it's violence because Trump, and that's why I think a lot of people on the left came after you for posting that, because it's not following the narrative of it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, here's the thing: we have instances of right-wing violence.
Yes,
and the thing is, we've had instances of right-wing violence before these protests even broke out. I mean, you had the El Paso shooting in August of 2019, where 23 were killed and 23 were injured. That was at a Walmart, and that was inspired. That the shooter was obviously a right-wing extremist. Then you have the Tree of Life shooting, which is an anti-Semitic attack in October 2018 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where 11 were killed, 7 were injured, including the suspect. And then you have the Charlottesville riots in August of 2017, where 1 was killed. That was Heather Heyer, and 33 were injured from a car ramming into a crowd of counter protesters. But if you flip it on its head and you look at the left-wing violence that's happened under Trump, this is where it gets somewhat. It seems at least in the last 3 months, I guess you can say it's lopsided, but you can't attribute all of it to Trump, at least with the right-wing violence, because while Trump may have, say, a nationalist populist agenda, it's not like he is saying to go out and kill people, even though he has had rhetoric that has been quite divisive over the course of his presidency and his presidential campaign. And it's not like anyone should. I don't know how you can characterize it differently. But
Right.
if we're talking about left-wing violence, I mean, this is some things that have happened just over the last decade. Now, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, they published this report in June of this year. They found that 21 people were killed at the hands of left-wing violence since 2010. Okay, so numbers obviously aren't favoring them in terms of high kill count. But if you remember, in 2015, there was the murder of 5 police officers in Dallas.
Right.
In 2014, 2 police officers were murdered in New York City. And then in Baton Rouge, 3 officers were murdered in, I believe, 2016. And these are all in response to the deaths of people like Eric Garner, Mike Brown, and a number of other Black men and women who were killed from police misconduct or by shooting. And then you have the congressional baseball shooting in June of 2017 by James Hodgkinson, who was a Bernie supporter.
Watches Joy Reid.
You know that for a fact?
He liked him on Facebook, so that's enough for these fucks to say that they listen to Trump 100%. So yeah, Joy Reid made this guy go and shoot up the.
Yeah,
the
so like, and like, this is where I would push back on you and saying like that's absolutely crazy. Joy Reid didn't inspire that type of shooting.
How do you know, bro? How do you know?
Exactly.
No, I'm just
get into a circular argument. Anyways, James Hodgkinson shot at a bunch of lawmakers, injuring 6. He nearly killed Steve Scalise, the House Majority Whip at the time.
Right.
And Hodgkinson was the only one who died as a result. But it's one of those things where like you have, then you have this Portland murder of a Trump supporter who is probably linked to Antifa. Because up until at least this past weekend, you would see reports saying Antifa hasn't murdered anybody, and that narrative might be broken down. We'll see. I mean, it's not like I'm rooting for that narrative to be broken down. Of course, it's terrible that somebody died, but that's
right.
What it's looking like it's happened. And then, of course, you have all the looting and rioting happening within the United States over the last 3 months, where you had 77-year-old David Dorn, retired police captain, who was shot and killed in St. Louis trying to defend his friend's store from being looted.
Right.
And then you have the Chaz and Chop in Seattle, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone or Capitol Hill Occupy protests, where there were 4 shootings. 2 were killed, 4 others were wounded. Apparently these were done either on or around the vicinity of Chop or Chaz. It's difficult to say like Chaz or Chop is directly responsible for these people getting hurt or killed. But at the same time, they overtook a police precinct and created an environment where police presence could have helped avoid these shootings. So,
and they were also blocking roads. It was hard for people, for medical ambulances to get through and all that kind of stuff as well.
So it's just a lot of it is just like it is messy. And the thing is,
I was going to say another point to it is the livelihoods that are ruined by all of these riots and destructions and stuff. This is going to take, I mean, even now there's economists stating that the riots in the 1960s, people have still not recovered from them till today. So what they're seeing now happening in these cities and at these businesses, and for some of these people who have family-owned businesses for years, going to have to close down, it's going to be very hard for people to recover.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and this is I recommend everyone read this article in The Atlantic by Graham Wood called "The Pinnacle of Looting Apologia." I hope I'm saying that right this time around.
No, you got it.
So this is where like these types of ideas are sort of accepted by people on the left, where Graham Wood is talking about this interview on NPR's Code Switch. NPR is a big, while it is publicly funded by the federal government, it has a very a very liberal skew to it. They published an interview with this woman, I believe she's a trans woman, Vicky Ostervale, who wrote the book In Defense of Looting, A Riotous History of Uncivil Action. And NPR summarizes the book as an argument that, quote, looting is a powerful tool to bring about real lasting change in society, end quote. And the way you look at it is that Osterville sees the upside to looting in that because it exposes a deep truth about the great American confidence game, which is that without police and without state oppression, we can have things for free. And she's sort of like knocking down this idea that property ownership and is like part of this cis hetero patriarchal racial capitalist violence, and that violence produced the United States, and particularly with property relations, and looting is a remedy for that sickness. But he goes on to say that as he picks apart this book really well, and the best part about it is while she talks about how there should be more violence and more looting to sort of facilitate an ecosystem where there's just social justice everywhere. That's essentially socialism that she's trying to promote.
100%.
This is the craziest part, the excerpt of it, as she writes that the destruction of business is an experience of pleasure, joy, and freedom, and is also a form of quote unquote queer birth, saying that
Queer birth. Oh
queer
God,
birth.
these people are just fucking
Writing that riots are violent, extreme, and femme as fuck. They rip, They rip, tear, burn, and destroy to give birth to a new world. And saying that it is like she uses the term liberal as a pejorative. She says that Martin Luther King Jr. She grudgingly acknowledges him as a positive figure, but not as positive a figure as he would have been if he had kicked some white capitalist ass and put a few pigs in the ICU. Saying that she wrote, and I quote, about the I Have a Dream speech, that it is the product of a series of sellouts and silencings of nonviolent leaders, dampening the militancy of the grassroots and sapping the movement's energy. And she has like an affinity towards like Robert F. Williams, who practiced armed resistance, and Assata Shakur, who murdered a New Jersey police officer and is now a fugitive in Cuba. But this is the part that really made me laugh, because it wasn't the favorite Graham Wood's favorite line in the book, and I'm not going to read the book, but like I'm going to trust that Graham Wood is telling us what we need to know about this book. Because he writes that his favorite line in the book was not even written by the author, but by her publisher, right under the copyright notice, saying, quote, "The scanning, uploading, and distribution of this book without permission is a theft of the author's intellectual property. Thank you for your support of the author's rights." Like, what? Like, if this woman is not, if she doesn't believe in such a thing as property rights, and that like you have to just like you have to replace
burn it all down.
Yeah, burn it all down, and looting is the key to fixing America's sickness and this cis hetero patriarchal violence that was founded on like it's always just the most ironic hypocrisies that we see. Hypocrisies. Wow, I'm really starting to sound like you. I've been hanging out with you.
Hell yeah.
So I mean, like, this is at least like that's. I'm glad that this is like the only time I've ever seen it, and maybe the NPR should not have given her a platform, but maybe it's good that she did, because then we can see how crazy her ideas are.
They're really insane, and you're right. The whole point of the book goes completely mute with that one line from the publisher.
I think the most. Oh yeah, I just want to. I forgot this one particular bit. Because she talks about the 1992 LA riots, and she quotes the Communist Museum magazine about it, saying, just as Jews were in 1965, Koreans in 1992 were on the front line of the confrontation between capital and the residents of central LA. They are the face of capital for these communities. And that is just absolutely insane. She even goes on to say that like one of the Korean shop owners who defended her store and shot Latasha Harlins in 1991, that this Korean woman was a white supremacist.
Right. And that's going to be the whole thing that these people are going to push. Yeah. Any sort of person who is successful, any group that is successful, anyone that has capital, that has brought a success to themselves, is going to be considered a pawn for white supremacy.
Yeah. The
more that these people are showcasing that the system is working, and especially for people of color, for Jews, for anyone who's participating in that is participating in pushing white supremacy. So they don't understand that them saying that these Jews or these Koreans are white supremacists looks completely fucking stupid as shit, because they think they're justified. They think their logic connects the two. They think they go 2 + 2 = 5, and then the smartest pieces of shit to ever walk this fucking earth. And his takedown of the book is fucking beautiful. You guys should read it. I was surprised it was published in the Atlantic, and they actually picked it up to take it apart piece by fucking piece by this stupid bitch that a lot of people on the left follow. They follow this ideology. They come straight out of fucking university thinking that there's some smart fucking people who have learned the new truth of the world. Yeah. And then they come and spew this shit.
Yeah. The thing is the thing is you don't need that type of book in order to understand where a lot of people on the left are talking about with this like looting apologia, in which these particular individuals are saying, oh, these businesses have insurance, burn it all down. Like, who gives a fuck? Like,
right.
It's not that simple. Like, if you understand how like our insurance system works right now with just health insurance, why are you calling for Medicare for all and then just being like, oh, they got property and casualty, they should be good, right? shit just doesn't work like that.
No. And you have prominent fucking leftist people who are not as stupid as this stupid bitch who are repeating shit like that, stating that they have insurance and stuff, not understanding that insurance isn't a lot of insurance isn't going to do shit for it. They're not going to pay for a lot of this damages. There's going to be places closed down and not rented and not opened up again for fucking years, 20, 30 years. It's going to be a disaster.
Yeah. Fucking
disaster.
Yeah.
And especially places like New York and high retail value places. I feel bad. Insane. It's so sad. It really is. And they want to just rub it off like it's okay. It's for the greater good. It's for the greater fucking good. It's like, fuck you, man. God damn it. It's insane.
I expect one of the Habibis, particularly Fuzzy, to grab that GIF.
Oh, he's definitely going to do it. He's already on it.
Carlos chiming in here. Hippity hoppity, your violence is now my mostly peaceful property. Janice chiming in. You can't steal intellectual property if the author is a brainless dimwit and has no intellect. Let's see. Wonder Kimmy chiming in. I am glad that NPR shared her shit, to be honest. We need to know that these batshit crazy people exist. I do agree. Nate Muller says or Ed Muller. I apologize. I don't actually know if his name is Nate. I think it is. I just assume everybody.
He looks like anyone. Yeah, with an N who's
he looks
white
like-
like that. He looks like a Nate.
He looks like a Nate. I apologize, Nate. This woman is spot on, to be
Nathaniel.
honest. Every day I wake up and the first thing I think about is how I can most effectively commit some cis heteropatriarchal violence.
And he just goes and buys a Bud Light, and there you go. he committed some cis hetero violence right there.
There was a lot of this was my favorite bit from the violence, though. This is just the media's role in all of this. Watch this.
Before we go, I really want to ask you about what's going on in Portland, Oregon. Police say that they're investigating a homicide after a person was killed last night during violent clashes there. It comes, of course, just days after 2 people were killed in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Do you have any reason to believe that Russia is trying to fuel some of the civil unrest in these cities via social media or other methods?
Shout out to Fuzzy for making that that gem right there.
That is beautiful right there. And it goes perfectly. I mean, that's the perfect response to a stupid fucking question.
I mean, just addressing her question, like, it's absolutely insane to think that Russia has any role in all of the violence we're seeing now, whether it's left wing or right wing. I mean, like, that anger you see out there, that shit's genuine.
Right.
You don't need Russia to stir that up.
No, you don't. It's so good. And then fucking Schiff goes off and they're like, yeah, and she's like, you're really good. It's just, how can anyone take these fucks seriously? Like, how do they wake up in the morning, go in, watch something like that, and then just be like, you know what? I did a fucking good job right there. That was A-class journalism right there.
That shit was fire. Kobe. R.I.P. Kobe. RP.
You'll be missed.
Speaking of, I want to share this. I want to share this weird clip from Joy Reid's show, in which she insinuates that Trump supporters are now radicalized Muslims.
When leaders, let's say in the Muslim world, talk a lot of violent talk and encourage their supporters to be willing to commit violence, including on their own bodies, in order to win against whoever they decide is the enemy. We in the U.S. media describe that as they are radicalizing those people, particularly when they're radicalizing young people. That's how we talk about the way Muslims act. When you see what Donald Trump is doing, is that any different from what we describe as radicalizing people?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so Joy Reid, she has been condemned by parts of the left, particularly the Squad, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, people like me, even though I'm not part of the left, but
Linda Sarsour.
And it's interesting because I've also seen people defend her, saying like she's 100% right. Like Trump supporters are, Trump supporters are radicalized Muslims, basically. And I love how Jem Rubin is in that clip, and she's like the most sane person in that clip.
And then she goes and what's it called? Defends it on Twitter.
Yeah, but the thing, she goes and defends it on Twitter. But I here's the thing, and this is just something that both sides are guilty of, and that is embracing the extremists, like giving a pass to individuals who have the most inflammatory rhetoric, and use that to essentially 100% get their point across.
I haven't noticed you not drinking every time you say it.
Sorry, I ran out of my drink. I gotta go.
I'm almost all done. I'm the only one getting fucked here.
So here's the thing, like, and this brings me back to President Trump, because while he is the president, he has done things that any average president would just not do, like weighing in on things that they shouldn't be weighing in on. And I referenced Kyle Rittenhouse in particular, because this is one of those things where like getting yourself involved in these cases when it's not 100% known, essentially, what happened, puts you on the spot, puts you on the record. And this is what Trump did this week with Kyle Rittenhouse when he was asked about him.
A peaceful protest, totally.
But it was a supporter of yours, Mr. President.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was a supporter of yours, Mr. President.
Are you
going to condemn the act? It was a supporter of yours, Mr. President, who killed someone that was accused of killing two people. It's a supporter of yours.
Saying, are you going to condemn the actions of vigilantes like Kyle Rittenhouse?
We're looking at all of it. That was an interesting situation. You saw the same tape as I saw, and he was trying to get away from them, I guess, it looks like. And he fell, and then they very violently attacked him. And it was something that we're looking at right now, and it's under investigation. But I guess he was in very big trouble. He would have been. He probably would have been killed. But it's under investigation.
Do you think private citizens should be taking guns?
I'd like to see law enforcement take care of everything. I think everything should be taken care of, law enforcement. But again, we have to give our cops back, our police back, their dignity, the respect. They're very talented people. They're strong. They're tough. They can do the job. But we've taken it away. We don't want to have, when somebody makes a mistake, he chokes. Or in some cases, you have bad cops, so we have to take care of that. In other cases, they choke. They have a quarter of a second.
So I don't know why you couldn't just no comment that and move on, because now he's got the media up his ass saying that he's defending this guy or he refuses to condemn him. And I know the game that they're playing, and I know that they're trying to get him to say something on it, so it makes it look like he's an apologist for Kyle Rittenhouse.
But he isn't. And did he like?
But if Kyle Rittenhouse is convicted on these charges based on how bad his attorneys are, then all of a sudden Trump looks like he's embracing a convicted murderer.
Right. But that's not what not what he said on the thing. He said what it looked like in the video. And then it's like, should vigilantes go up? And he's like, no, we should give it all back to the police.
Yeah. And that probably should have been his answer to the first question, saying like he doesn't
for sure
vigilantism at all.
He should have said, I don't condone vigilante, but he's not defending kid for being a vigilante. He's saying that we saw the video, you saw the same thing, it looked like he was being attacked, and then he said we should give it back to the what's it called, to the police department. And it just goes to show how much of a little whatever thing that the media will tag onto and twist, but it doesn't say to the fact that this or anything that Trump has been saying is radicalizing people in a way it's going to make them go and blow themselves up, or
I think this is obviously this is the main difference between, like, you know, you have clerics radicalizing young Muslims, people who are part of terrorist organizations radicalizing young people. Trump is not in that same boat. I think what Trump does, and I think this has a lot to do with the fact that I think he's a narcissist and an opportunist. I feel like he's very careful to condemn certain acts of violence because he knows, not even certain acts of violence, certain people who have extreme or fringe views, because he knows that is a bulk of his support. And I feel like that's been his undoing. And
it has been.
And while it may not lead to violence, it is. I think that there are elements within those fringe groups that are violent, and you find that link right there where he is now all of a sudden part of the inspiration behind all that right-wing violence. So it is. I know that was a very long discussion on that. Wow, almost 50 minutes. But I feel like I hope that cleared the air. I know I couldn't write all that in like a 900-word piece, but like that, and that's probably my failing. Obviously, try to hold both sides accountable as much as I possibly can. So,
you do a pretty good job on it.
Well, thank you, Habibi. Real quick,
unlike Budget, who sucks left dick. I mean, what?
He came at me pretty hard. I try to be civil and respond in good faith, and
it's because they notice that their own failings and how big of hypocrites that they are, and all of a sudden now they have to condemn the violence because it's not helping them in the polls anymore.
Yeah,
and just like Reed wants to try and say, like, Trump is radicalizing. The more the media doesn't say anything about it, the more Biden did, the more the left does. Pelosi, fucking the squad, all these people, they're in the same boat. We can't always say that Trump has all the power in the United States and
no, he doesn't.
Have no influence whatsoever.
Yeah,
And
Billy Finn chiming in here. Biden's been doing it too. He refuses to even acknowledge Antifa. He hasn't acknowledged Antifa until this week because of political polling, and I addressed that in the article. I think I was really trying to use this time to try to address the parts where I wanted to address and didn't. But in terms of Biden finally condemning it, it's 3 months gone by since this all started. And to borrow a phrase from the left, as I wrote in my article, white silence is violence. So if you're not speaking out against it, at least in the political domain or in our discourse, if you are silent, you're complicit. Like, it's just the left made the rules, right? You got to live by them, and they never do. And they're never held accountable for it. I want to get to a quick few news items before I get Ern and get this really important announcement that will help a lot of people. Particularly the children.
The children. Oh man, I think it's opposite day today. The children.
What am I looking for? I'm looking for a particular Trump item that I seem to have lost. Oh, here it is. Okay, so just this evening, it was reported in NBC News that Trump is encouraging North Carolina residents to vote twice to test the mail-in system. And I don't know if this is a troll. I'm going to wait to see how this plays out. But if he's trying to encourage his voters to break the election laws, where is he going with this? I don't understand it. It's
just make sure it works and vote 4 or 5 times just to be sure. Like, is he trying? I don't know. You think he's being really stupid or he's just openly doing it? It's one or the other.
Then you have Nancy Pelosi being caught at a salon, and she calls the whole thing a setup. And I bring that up because just this evening, the salon owner went over to Tucker Carlson. For those who aren't familiar with what happened with Nancy Pelosi, I'll just read it. Just give you a quick briefing on that. She visited a San Francisco hair salon on Monday afternoon for a wash and blowout, despite local ordinances keeping salons closed amid the coronavirus pandemic. The security footage was obtained by Fox News and time-stamped Monday at 3:08 p.m. Pacific time. That shows her walking through the salon with wet hair and without a mask over her mouth. And the stylist doing her hair can be seen following her wearing a black face mask. Salons in San Francisco have been closed since March, and Nancy Pelosi gives this defense right here.
Been there over the years. I've been there many times. I appreciate the question, and let me just say this: I take responsibility for trusting the word of a neighborhood salon that I've been to over the years many times, and that when they said, well, we're able to accommodate people one person at a time, and that we can set up that time, I trusted that. As it turns out, it was a setup. So I take responsibility for falling for a setup. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Anything else?
So that led to the salon owner going on Tucker Carlson, and this is what happened from that.
How would you have done that? I mean, can you prove that this wasn't a diabolical setup designed to bring down the Speaker of the House by blow drying her hair?
She had called the stylist or her assistant did and made the appointment. So
yes,
the appointment was already booked. So there's no way I could have set that up. And I've had a camera system in there for 5 years. I mean, I didn't.
So she completely throws that idea under the bus, and Pelosi with it. It's just amazing. I think I saw someone saying that she's going to Jussie Smollett this whole thing and
right.
just continue to double, triple down on it. Like, come on, Pelosi.
No, she will. And she will get away with it because you already have people in Politico. You already have people in MSNBC. You already have all these people just completely disregarding
it. Is this legal to record someone on
yeah.
camera without their consent?
Isn't California a two-person state?
That was a Politico journalist.
With all that's going on, is it really important? While the same people were calling for Mike Pence's head for not wearing a mask.
Yeah,
or some shit.
And like, you know, decrying the GOP convention because people weren't social distancing. Like, it's just like everybody's a hypocrite on this. I mean,
completely.
Just say you hate the pandemic. You hate this. You don't want to you obviously want to be careful.
Follow your own laws. You don't want to follow your own laws. You want to go and disregard them and live your life like the rest of the United States of a fucking America want to do. They're sick and tired of this shit. Can we
go ahead?
I was just saying they're sick and tired watching these people who are saying you need to stay home. You can't go and live your life. You can't go and do all these things while they go and do them.
Yeah,
like
it's
the fucking consistent with it. God damn it. You're gonna have as messy of a hair day as I am, for fuck's sake.
Jay, you know that's impossible, right? Unless you're talking about another area. Talking about your taint.
I fuck that shit. That's why my tolerance of pain is like up here.
It's higher than that is worse than giving childbirth.
Oh yeah.
All right. What was it? Where was I? Oh yeah. Can we you said that it's the United States of a fucking America. Can we just rename the country to that? A fucking America.
I like it. A fucking America.
A fucking America. So in other news, Ed Markey, a senator from Massachusetts, finally defeated the Kennedy dynasty, defeating Congressman Joe Kennedy III in the Democratic primary. Markey, who is a pretty big progressive, got a pretty significant chunk of the youth vote, got 54% of the total vote. That is interesting because Kennedy was really just running on the platform that he's a Kennedy and that it's his turn. And it's in terms of political dynasties ending, whether it's the Clinton dynasty or the Bush dynasty or the Kennedy dynasty, you kind of love to see it, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's great. And it's especially great watching the people who are running on nothing other than the name of their family. And it's like, you know what? The fuck your family do anyways. Like, fuck you. It's like
I just pray for the grandchildren of Mujahed Kobbe who have to live up to their grandfather's standards of being the goat of ass eating.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be very hard.
It is. I mean, I have books coming out detailing ways to make sure you're eating ass in the most halal way possible.
Coffee table books. Oh my God.
I'm going to start teaching it in kindergarten.
Another weird bit is that Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler announces he's moving to avoid the rioters because there are a bunch of rioters outside of his condo.
God.
And the person he's running against in the mayoral election is like just a straight up socialist. Like she's 100% essentially with Antifa.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
they're fucked over there. And this is
Yeah.
what you get. You vote this shit in over and over and over and over again. And
Yeah.
you think something different's going to come out of it. I
Yeah.
mean, one thing the media and Democrats has really stuck into the minds of people who live in inner cities and stuff is how evil and bad Republicans are. They find them to be worse than what they have right now.
Yeah.
And what they have right now is destroying their lives.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue to do so.
All right. My bladder is about to explode. So I'm going to go pee and get Earn.
Do it.
I'll be right back.
Go it. And Danielle C. No, I the only standard I have comes into play when it goes to ass eating. That's it. So I finished the bottle. I drank half of it just now. This is the Whistle Pig rye whiskey. It's aged 10 years. It's 100 proof, 50%. One bad thing about it is that it comes from fucking Canada, and these people are fucking pieces of shit. I don't know why we haven't taken them over yet, but they make a good rye. That's for sure. Honestly, and for the price point that you get at it and how well it fucks you up. I mean, how well you can just sip on it. It's an 8, a solid 8 for me. Absolutely. I'll probably get it again next time too. So there you have it. That's what I'm drinking. And 8 out of 10. That's the first one I've had since doing this. Fuzzy, just because you overhear what your mom calls me late at night doesn't mean you can repeat it on here. Hold your tongue. Janice, just a bit. I mean, I wouldn't mind a pickle right now either. Oh, Gretchen, you have seen me more fucked up than this before. It's because I've actually had a good lunch today, and I skipped out working out too before this, so that's also why I'm not that fucked up right now. Mickey, Drunk Jay is haram. We don't do the haram here. Jeff, my favorite whiskey is Angel's Envy, and they make a fantastic rye. Their rye is better than this for sure. It's also 100 proof, 50%, and if you can find it, man, it's so good. They don't have it here that much, and Angel's Envy as well. You don't get it that much. Mom, I am drinking water, just not right now. Wonder Kimmy, the best shawarma in the world that I've had is in Lebanon. You just go. It's out in the souk in Tripoli. Street food right there. It's like 75 cents. You get a sandwich that big. Fill it up with chicken shawarma, garlic paste, French fries, and some lettuce. And oh my God. And also Lebanese hot sauce.
It's like an earthquake just appeared. Okay. Oh, all right. Oh, Mary chiming in here saying drink water. I drank water. Did you drink water?
I did.
Okay, good. I think I drank too much water, which is why I had to go pee. Right? That had to be it. Essentially. Okay. Let's finish up our little segment here before we get to this really important announcement. California state legislature passes the state bill 145, which is eliminating sex offender list. Oh, well, I said list. Oh, yeah, there is a list. It's eliminating sex offender list inequity towards LGBTQ plus people. I don't know if anyone's been following the story. Kind of a niche story. Gavin Newsom has a chance to sign it before the end of the month. And if he does, this goes into law. But what it means is that under current state laws, judges have discretionary power to mandate a teenager age 14 to 17 to register as a sexual offender for voluntary sexual relationship with a partner within 10 years of age. And they can decide based on the facts of the case whether sex offender registration is warranted or not. However, when teens engage in oral or anal intercourse with a person of the same sex who's younger than 18, they are automatically placed on the sex offender registry. So what they did with this bill is essentially get rid of that particular part. 100%. 100%.
And it's fucking nuts. It really is. It's disgusting, really. I mean, look, when you have teachers, I'm just like female teachers who sleep with 14-year-old boys and stuff, we consider that rape.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they said it was consensual or
statutory rape, particularly.
Right. Even
I'm sure LB will chime in and say, "Oh, she does say, I can't believe you couldn't cover this story before bringing in Ernst." I'm sorry, Ern. I didn't mean for you to see that first. Sorry.
You're corrupting Ern. Look at him. He's trying to hide now.
Please forgive me, Ern. You don't want. All right. Well, he's back to licking.
Right. And I honestly think it's really it's really sick, and it's very I think it moves things backwards, especially for the LGBT community.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that they have to? Why is it that they're going to get special treatment over being able to rape kids? Why is that? 14 years old, 16 years old. These are children, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they say that they're consensual. I mean, if I go and find a female 16-year-old kid to say that she wants to be in a relationship with me,
mm-hmm.
I can be charged with rape and nobody's going to bat an eye. But we have to give special treatment to people because they're part of the LGBT community.
Well, just to push back on that, that exists for, like, if it were a pedophile, a heterosexual relationship. Like that already exists for that. It is now.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, like the original law is crazy. So like, it's just expanding on it is crazier. So I don't like this goes to probably a bigger moral issue with like the idea of. I mean, I don't know why we're talking about it now because it's obviously sounds like just so it is this is where the gay incel lib in me starts to come out. But just the morality behind having consensual sex with people under the age of 18, like it's
twisted
all
to me.
wrong.
I think it's very,
I don't know
very
why
wrong.
they have to make additional laws that like give judges expanding their discretion and being like, this isn't that bad. We'll let them go. Like, I don't. That's not how it works.
Nope.
So, anyways, let's get to more chipper news. Mississippi unveils the new state flag design. It is a magnolia, and it's a white magnolia of all things. How racist is that? They get to vote on it at the end of or during election day, and it brings me to obviously South Carolina changing their state flag to and their name to South Carolina. I completely butchered that. Fuck! I should have just left it on Twitter. Yeah,
Carolina.
Leon Wolf chiming in. Hey, Leo. Welcome to Habibi Power Hour. Glad you're joining us. Sorry you had to essentially join us when we're talking about sex.
14-year-old sleeping with guys.
Yeah. Here's some odd news, but I thought was pretty funny. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the memoir, an excerpt from her memoir came out in which she said that Trump jokingly told her that she had to take one for the team and live in North Korea after flirting with Kim Jong-un, which, by the way, actually, it was Kim Jong-un hit on her. And
smiled and winked at her. Winked at her.
This is Trump's direct quote. He said, "Kim Jong-un hit on you. He did it. He fucking hit on you." It sounds like like one of those 2000s like road trip movies where he's they're just talking about sex all the time, and I just find it hilarious that like that surfaced and some people were just like, "Oh my god, like what if he actually did it?" Like he would be a legend if he did that.
Oh, absolutely. You think people are going to hate him for that? I mean, he's going to jump 15 points. I
feel like people probably hate Sarah Huckabee Sanders more than they hate Trump.
Right.
Because like with Trump, it's Trump, but like there are people working with him. They probably they feel like, oh, they should know better. They shouldn't work with him. Then you have Tiger King's Carol Baskin joining Dancing with the Stars, and I'm trying to remember when another murderer has joined Dancing with the Stars. Do you know?
I don't.
I mean, she hasn't been.
I don't know.
She hasn't been accused or charged of anything, but we all know she killed her husband.
She fed that bitch.
She fed that tiger. So, and then you have David Blaine attempting to leave Earth by attaching himself to a shit ton of balloons. I was kind of I was jealous that he got that high, that close to leaving Earth, and then all of his balloons popped. But it is what it is.
His story, by the way, if you listen to him on Joe Rogan about it's actually really fascinating. It's it's a really great podcast guest that he had on. You should watch that video. It was really good.
Ern wants down, so I'm gonna let him down for a sec. I think he wants.
We do what Ern wants to do.
Yeah, he's the king. He is a king and lord. You okay, bud? You want to go home something? Okay, let's go home something. You go home something, not me. I'm coming back. I'm just letting him out.
Oh, you guys don't know what we're gonna do after this.
Okay. Okay, so I missed this from Billy Finn saying Carol Baskin did a cameo for Smug. So today was Comfortably Smug's birthday, and I don't know how old he's turning. I met him in real life, but he's definitely older than me.
46.
How do you know that? I feel like he's 69.
Nice, but no cigar.
So I have to go and look at that. I'm going to check that out. All right. Really quick, because before we get into any other stories, really want to focus on this. And that is this September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And so the Habibis need to go gold. These families and foundations usually have their annual DC walk and many other events throughout this month. But because of COVID, obviously they can't do that. So this September, we're going to constantly promote this every episode of Habibi Power Hour this month. And what essentially 100% that we're trying to do, what we're trying to do is raise awareness for the amount of funding that is going to child cancer research. Now, back in 2013, a child by the name of Gabriella Miller, a bill was passed in her honor, and she died from a brain tumor. But what happened from that is that they allocated, I believe, $125 or $126 million towards childhood cancer research. But only 4% of $1 billion of the government spending is going to cancer research directly towards child cancer. And to give you some ideas of some of the statistics behind it, for children in the U.S., cancer is the leading cause of death by disease. Every day, 43 children are diagnosed with cancer. Over 40,000 children undergo treatment for cancer each year. The average age of children diagnosed with cancer is 6 years. Hospitalizations cost 5 times as much than any other pediatric condition. 84% of U.S. families with a child with cancer experience work disruptions. And 20% of families reported losing over 40% of their annual income while taking care of a child with cancer. So we included one particular link where you can learn about and help out. We also included in the description of this video below a couple of accounts for you to follow. We have a fundraiser on Facebook. I don't know, Jay, you know this a little bit better than I do about this particular fundraiser.
Right. It's for a family, particular family, Walter. And it goes by hashtag Warrior Walter. And if you could, the most that we can do, really, I mean, the least we can do is follow these people that we have in the description. Just retweet their stories, make sure that they understand that they're listened to, that they're seen. And that we can push more awareness for everyone. And we're going to be putting a GoFundMe description on each week for a family that we could support. And I mean, even if you could just send off a postcard, a letter, toys, whatever you could to people who are in the hospital, especially kids who can't and who are not going to have the togetherness that they're used to, especially during September.
Isolation from COVID. Obviously,
right.
Usually only one family member is allowed in, and they can't allow basically anyone in nowadays. But one of the things that we're trying to do is build up awareness for Gabriella Miller Kids' first act 2.0. So they got the first act passed in 2013. The second act is trying to redirect the penalties from pharmaceutical company. They're trying to they're seeking non-payer tax payer funding. What am I even saying? I can't even speak. God, what's wrong with me? They're looking for this is awful. I'm trying to read, but I can't. They're seeking funding by redirecting the penalties from pharmaceutical companies that break the law. So redirecting or reappropriating that money that is going to the federal government towards childhood cancer research. Because just in the last 20 years only 2 new drugs have been developed to treat children with cancer. And there are 12 different types of cancer that children have primarily been experiencing. This particular bill, the Gabriella Miller Kids First Research Act, it's been pretty bipartisan. It's like one of the few things in Washington that's not a polarized or partisan issue.
Right.
So if you go to foursquareclobberscancer.com, I included the link in the description. It's obviously on your screen. Check it out. You can find ways to reach your representative. Jay and I don't usually advocate for anything really, unless we think it's a good cause, and we both think it's a very good cause. We'll have more information for you as the month progresses and ways for you to get involved and help out. But in the meantime, if you go and check our description in the YouTube episode, you'll see a few Twitter accounts as well to follow, and a Facebook group that Warrior Walt. They have a fundraiser on Facebook right now. I believe it's going through GoFundMe, right?
That's correct. It is going through GoFundMe. They're seeking $3,000 for treatment expenses and everything. He's a great. It's a great story. He loves Baby Yoda. You would see a lot of pictures with him and Baby Yoda and stuff. He's honestly going through. He's going through a lot, and he's really fighting hard against it. It's amazing watching him push through it, and and just a tweet to him, a message, it would mean a lot.
Yeah, I'll go a long way. I'll be sure to reach out to them as well. So we'll hear from some Habibis before we go on to some of the top stories this past week. GC Geek Army, thank you, GC Geek Army, first time listener, long time Habidi. Habidi, he's writing like Jay Speak. He's really enjoying the Power Hour. Thank you for that. Faye chiming in, say childhood illness survivor here in the house. Please support this bill.
That's amazing, Faye.
She also writes, also, if you give charity, Mattel Children's Hospital in Los Angeles, Philadelphia Children's Hospital, and John Hopkins Pediatrics are great places. I agree. Let's see. And Mary, who, thank you, Mary. You gave us the push to address this, and we really appreciate you doing that, because I hope we can help a lot of people. Of course, just in the last week, we lost Chadwick Boseman to colon cancer. Right. And while he was not a child, he certainly left us far too soon at the age of 43. And
he did a lot of work with kids with cancer, especially going through what he was going through. I mean, a real life hero. I mean, nobody knew. It was a shock to a lot of people, to go back and see the videos of him doing movie after movie after movie while still going to all these kids. It's just, I mean, my God, it's amazing.
Gretchen chiming in, Siraj, will you retweet your info about this when we're done so I can retweet too? Absolutely. Lisa Ann Spalding, thank you so much for promoting awareness of Habibis. The childhood cancer community appreciates it. Let's see. Wait, Jim Klein chiming in. I beat cancer in my 30s. I can't imagine going through it as a kid. Congrats to you, Jim, for beating it. Hope you remain healthy. Obviously, look, we're in a very polarized environment, and people tend to forget each other's humanity. And it's, I think, once we get past like a heated election, I feel like people start to come together a bit. And I'm hoping that we finally get to that point where people can start treating each other civilly. So,
right.
Anyways, someone asked me before I continue going. Oh, Mark L. Thank you, Mark. BTHO cancer. Back the hell off cancer, or back the fuck.
Back the hell off.
Back the hell off cancer.
I think he's being a little political correct. I'm not sure. It might be something completely different that we're
this is what I wanted to address. Mr. Justin Poland says, can you talk about the very important boneless wing controversy? I am so glad you brought this up, because I actually have something to share about that.
First, and then Jane, and then you. Okay?
I promise I won't take up too much of your time here. My name is Andrew Christensen. I live at 1212 Twin Ridge Road. Lincoln has the opportunity to be a social leader in this country. We have been casually ignoring a problem that has gotten so out of control that our children are throwing around names and words without even understanding their true meaning and treating things as though they're normal. I go into nice family restaurants and I see people throwing this name around and pretending as though everything is just fine. I'm talking about boneless chicken wings. I propose that we as a city remove the... Excuse me, I'm trying to...
Yeah.
Excuse me, come on. I propose that we as a city remove the name boneless wings from our menus and from our hearts. These are our reasons why. Number one, nothing about boneless chicken wings actually come from the wing of a chicken. We would be disgusted if a butcher was mislabeling their cuts of meats, but then we go around and pretending as though the breast of the chicken is its wing. Number two, boneless chicken wings are just chicken tenders, which are already boneless. I don't go to order boneless tacos. I don't go and order boneless club sandwiches. I don't ask for boneless auto repair. It's just what's expected. And then number three, we need to raise our children better. Our children are raised being afraid of having bones attached to their meat. That's where meat comes from. It grows on bones. We need to teach them that the wing of a chicken is from a chicken, and it's delicious. I propose that we rename boneless wings in the city of Lincoln. We can call them buffalo-style chicken tenders. We can call them wet tenders. We can call them saucy nugs or trash. We can take these steps and show the country that where we stand, and that we understand that we've been living a lie for far too long. And we know it because we feel it in our bones.
Thank you.
That man is a fucking hero.
He is a legend. So I went ahead and did this, and everyone's going to start chastising me. So let me go ahead and share that screen. Because everyone's just going to be like, oh my God, Siraj, what is wrong with you? Boneless chicken wings are taking over the world. And that's the controversy.
Has it been ratioed because of that fucking ketchup too?
Actually, I don't think so. Look at that, 635 likes, 28 quote tweets. Let's see how, if I click on here, how many replies I'm getting. 306 replies. That's not really a ratio, but you know, I think that's definitely a lot more. That's a lot more replies than I'm used to getting.
Those are what's it called, frozen tenders. Let's not lie here. They're frozen tenders, bro.
You know what's funny though is that those are my wife's leftovers when she went out to dinner the other night. Ernie is so confused by what's going on.
He has no idea because he's looking at that and he's like, "Did I shit that out? Is that one of my turds?"
Oh, that's mean. Oh, Ernie wants to get on the mic. What's up, buddy? You want to say something? Okay, go ahead. Say something. Ernie ASMR. We're just waiting on that.
Right. I just hear.
What's up, buddy? Okay, so God, now I gotta pull up my Ernie. You really? I'm sorry, bud. Let me get this out of here. Oh. He just hates having to lay on me. Oh God. All right. Because next up we got to go through our weekly jihad. Oh man, I messed up my lap. Did I get the? God, guys, I'm sorry. I'm like all over the place. Today has been a day.
All right.
Anyways, I'm gonna keep the banner up on the bottom of the ticker, where you guys can go to get involved with childhood cancer, and that website, of course. So we have a description below. But getting back to what we were saying, the NBA, this is what we were talking about last week. This was kind of a breaking story at the time. They had a walkout, and essentially they 100% didn't play for like 2 or 3 days. And then on, I think
it was one game.
No, I mean, like they missed like 2 days. But the Players Union and the NBA, they announced a plan to use arenas as polling places in the upcoming election as part of an agreement to resume playoff games. And then the deal that they also struck, the NBA planned to promote social justice and civic engagement. I don't know how they go beyond what they've already been doing. Because they've basically been leading the way on every single social justice item of all the 4 major professional sports leagues, the NBA, NHL, MLB, and NFL. They're going to form they're creating a social justice coalition. They're going to work with election officials to convert those NBA arenas into polling places for the 2020 election and create advertising spots to promote, quote unquote, greater civic engagement in national and local elections. So Trump criticized them, saying they've become a full-on political organization. Hard to argue against that because it seems as if when these things are happening, and these police shootings are happening in 2014, 2015, 2016, before Trump got elected. You had Ferguson in 2014, you had the Baltimore riots in 2015. And the Baltimore riots were bad. Like you had the whole city burning. You had Ferguson up in flames. Like these are things that like maybe they didn't figure out. Maybe they didn't know how to go forward, and maybe it took some time for them to figure it out. But the fact is, nobody tried to pin. You certainly never saw anybody on the left pin the blame on President Obama, like you are seeing with people blaming
because they're cowards
President
and
Trump.
they're little bitches.
Because if Obama really wanted to, like, he could have led that whole campaign to, you know, I mean, he had My Brother's Keeper.
Reform.
That was a White House initiative, but reforming the police, like, people are gonna say, oh, you know, Obama didn't have the House and Senate at the time. Like, well, yeah, that's true. But this is like a back and forth all day. Like, if you really wanted to, you could have gotten it done. Like Trump, if Trump really wants to get something done, both of them said that they would use executive authority. Obama with his pen and phone, Trump with his phone and Twitter account, basically.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and it could have done. And I mean, it went to what I said last week is them just walking out on a couple of games means nothing, because they're going to continue to go on to the games, and they're going
I will say the most significant thing that happened was the polling places. I will say that's the one thing that
the cities and states already pay for those fucking arenas.
But the ones that are owned by the team, those are the ones that they're going to open up. And that's when you have to actually get into the details and find out, well, which NBA arenas are actually owned by the team. The one that comes that's off the top of my head is the Capital One Arena in DC, but this is DC. Like, it's not. It's three or four electoral votes, and that's obviously hard blue. Solid blue,
right?
It's not.
It's solid blue. It's not.
No, if you were doing it in Florida, in like Miami or say Orlando, like, I don't know,
Dallas,
maybe. Texas, obviously, that's another big one. Arizona.
But I mean, just doing a polling place and stuff like that. What is that going to do? What is that change going to do? I mean, if they were really wanting to do something,
it's during obviously the primaries and during coronavirus, like, they have been shuttering a lot of polling places, like, because of COVID restrictions. So the lines are significantly longer because there are fewer places to vote.
So, right, and it's great that they're opening it up. But what I'm saying is what is that going to change in terms of justice reform, in terms of police reform?
Well, the obvious end goal for them is to get Trump out of office. That's where
they are a political.
They are becoming a political organization.
That's what they're doing. I mean, if you really wanted to do something, then don't play anymore. Cancel the playoffs. Make sure that Congress and the Senate are sitting down and writing a fucking bill to push something forward. Opening voting places, you going in and still playing your games and all that kind of stuff, it's not going to do anything. You're not really. They made it. The media and everybody made it out like them walking out on those two games is going to be and going to cancel the playoffs is going to be so significant and all this kind of stuff. No, it really isn't.
I mean, people have already forgotten. Most people have already forgotten about it. Like, this is not a big story anymore, like it was last week.
And they're playing it like they made a big win over opening these places for voting.
Well, I will say this. Jaylen Brown, who I love on the Celtics, because I'm a big Celtics fan. He was like actually pretty skeptical about how these things went, and I think the only two teams who voted to cancel the NBA season were the Los Angeles Lakers and LA Clippers. So majority felt they wanted to continue on with the season. And so you're never going to completely eliminate all police brutality. You can try to minimize it as much as you can. It's just like with concussions in football or concussions in contact sports. You're never going to completely eliminate it, but you can at least create an environment where
we hold people accountable.
People are held accountable. the justice system works more fairly, and you're not having people being targeted based on, you know, whatever things they cannot control, whether it's race, religion, ethnicity, what have you, gender. I mean, the thing is, and this is something
you can control religion,
and now you can control your gender too.
Yeah,
based on what we've seen in the last decade. But
pretty soon you can control your race. It's coming.
I mean, people are getting canceled over tanning too much, so it's not completely out of the it's not. So, Leon Wolf, thank you, Leon, saying Enes Kanter is a global treasure. I fucking love Enes Kanter. That dude is the man. He is the only dude. He is the only dude I have his balls are so big by standing up to the Turkish president Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and that dude's a straight up that dude's a straight up dictator, and he's just suck this,
right?
No,
in contrast,
I will say this: I've DM'd with him, and he reached out to me. I'm like, holy shit, it's fucking Enes Kanter. I'm like, dude, it's a huge fan. I'm scared though. If I ever asked him to join me on the podcast, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that because I'm too close to it. I'm such a big fan. I could not put myself in a situation where I let my biases interfere with putting out a good interview or doing a good interview. You get what I'm saying?
You should have him on here then.
Actually, he should come on. If once the Celtics win the chip, of course.
Yeah, just wait until then. Because I'm for sure the first thing he's gonna want to do after he wins is come on Habibi Power Hour. Well, you tell him it's called Habibi Power Hour.
I told him he's a Habibi.
In his Turkish accent, he'll be Habibi.
When I was chatting with him, I told him he's a real Habibi. So
absolutely is.
I'm sure he appreciates that. So just one other aspect of that, because I'm now seeming to lose my train of thought, is that were the protests worth it and creating this type of environment? I feel like the players got they got the short end of the stick, and whatever they wanted to accomplish, it is more just you ask, when you go to a boss, your boss, and you ask for a raise, and they're just just give me some time, you're due for that raise, and I'm gonna give it to you, but they just never do. It's that kind of situation. I don't know if you've ever run into that. Of course, you just run a bunch of gas stations, so what the fuck do I know?
Right. Well, also the thing is, the thing about, I don't know if this is really true or not, but it's some other things that were being said, is that since this is a coronavirus year or whatever, there's a clause. I'm probably going way deep into it, but they have the opportunity to renegotiate their
collective bargaining agreement
exactly next year because of coronavirus. Instead of 3 years down the line, they can do it next year. And now, but if they boycott and they don't go and play, then they can't do that. So, sometimes it just goes to show that a lot of these people, they're not really willing to put up the ultimate sacrifice when it comes to wanting change or wanting to put something forward. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know LeBron James personally, but personally, I think he's a fake piece of shit. And I think he is a complete fucking fraud when it comes to all of these things. And he's never going to be better than Michael Jordan. Never.
Well, throughout his entire career, I've loathed LeBron James just because he's always gone up against the Celtics, and I will never judge someone I don't know personally. I can just say that he got a lot of criticism for not speaking out about or kind of feigning ignorance or claiming ignorance when Tamir Rice was shot and killed by police. I want to say that was in 2014. Was it? And that is, I think, when he got critiqued for that. And so that's when he started to become a little bit more social justice-y. I don't think it's when I don't think he watched the Last Dance and was just like, all right, time to turn on the social justice-y lean.
No, I don't think so. But I think you need to, there's a Habibi comment, right?
Where?
Mickey White. You should just click on hers. There you go. That's perfect. Everybody screenshot this right now. Post it on Twitter. # Jay is right. Thank you.
And I will just give you that.
Thank you.
That's what's going to be in the promo next week.
Right. I love it. That's going to be perfect.
Okay. So moving on. We only covered up until like night 3 of the GOP convention last week. Didn't even cover the last night with Trump's speech and the fireworks and the protesting that happened after his speech. And you had like one dude flipping off a grandma coming out of the GOP convention. Just be like, what did that grandma do to you?
Oh my God, it was so bad.
Ridiculous. And then the most ridiculous thing that night was this. And let me pull it up here if I know where it is. Here we go.
Say her name. 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 Y'all can take pictures and all that, but y'all gotta go through it, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Move back. Move back. You move the fuck back. Move back. Move back. What's up, bro? I got you.
Absolutely insane. Rand Paul getting attacked as he is leaving the GOP convention, and people demanding that he say her name being Breonna Taylor's. And he sponsored the Justice for Breonna Taylor Act. This is like one of the most pro-criminal justice reform senators on the Republican side. And they're all like, this guy's a fucking fascist. Like, it's just these protesters and rioters they're either willfully ignorant or they're just not smart, because just because he is a Republican who supports President Trump, he has been one of the most vocal critics of police. And it's wild because
and government overreach.
Yeah, but also what's wild about this is that as soon as like you say, like, oh, he sponsored the Justice for Breonna Taylor Act, everyone's like, well, that doesn't address the cops who shot and killed her. Well, what is he going to do as senator? It's not like he can go and prosecute these people himself. I mean, he is a senator from Kentucky. This shooting happened in Kentucky. This now falls on Daniel Cameron, the attorney general, and you can pin the blame on him for dragging his feet. I like at this juncture, the fact that they had, this is the craziest thing. The plea deal that was offered to then Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, I believe his name is that they wanted him to say that she was part of this criminal enterprise, this drug enterprise, in exchange for I guess a more lenient sentence, which is batshit. He turned it down, but like the fact that leaked out, that shows you how our criminal justice system works. It's not always about getting justice as it is about fulfilling a quota. And I think a I mean, this is, you don't have to be an attorney to know that, to see the big picture there.
Right. And it's really disgusting. And in that aspect of it. And these people, I think a lot of them are fucking stupid, but a lot of them know that some of these people want to help, like Rand Paul and stuff, but they don't care. They don't give a shit because they just think of it as having power, or that anyone who is a Republican is evil. And it really damages their cause, especially when you bring up the fact that he co-sponsored the bill for Breonna Taylor with her name on it, and he campaigned for it, and he repeatedly said her name over and over again while he was pushing for the bill. And not only did they go after her, they also went after him. They went after Alice Johnson, the person who was pardoned by Trump as well, who was out there when she walked out. It is a disgusting display of uncivility that has been pushed by people in the media and by a lot of Dems who say go out into their faces. And who has said it? Nancy Pelosi has called Republicans enemy of the people. What is
enemy?
What is
I
that?
believe it was enemy of the state.
Enemy of the state.
Enemies of the state.
And we're supposed to say,
and then also
only
blamed
Trump is saying this shit.
Yeah, and also she pinned the blame of George Floyd's murder on or George Floyd's death on Republicans for
and Tim Scott after he put up the bill.
And the thing is, like, both sides are playing politics on the criminal justice reform bill to address chokeholds and not putting knees on the necks of suspects or people that they're apprehending. And look, both sides agreed that they were going to make this a political issue, not one that needed to be corrected,
right?
Because they feel that power is more important to them than actually accomplishing things that help the American people, that hold police more accountable. And I go back to this. There's this particular interview that Attorney General William Barr did on CNN, and he said, and this is an NBC News headline reported tonight, that Barr denies systemic racism and police shootings of black men. He said, quote, "I do think that there appears to be a phenomenon in the country where African Americans feel that they're treated when they're stopped by police frequently as suspects before they are treated as citizens. I don't think that necessarily reflects some deep-seated racism in police departments or in most police officers. I think people operate very frequently according to stereotypes, and I think it takes extra precaution on the part of law enforcement to make sure we don't reduce people to stereotypes. We treat them as individuals." I don't know how you take that and say, NBC spinning it, saying that he denies systemic racism is in police shootings. I think what you probably will, you could make the argument for is that there tends to be a heavier law enforcement presence in poorer neighborhoods, and the socioeconomic discrepancy is that there are more there is a heavier police presence in poor black neighborhoods than, say, in wealthy white neighborhoods. And you see that in places like Chicago, where it's arguably the most segregated city in the country. And we constantly talk about, conservatives constantly talk about Chicago as like this one, as a case study, and basically how everything, like they use that as like a denial of like actual police brutality by saying, oh, all this black on black crime is happening, when that's, that doesn't, you're just like sidestepping the issue. But what I'm trying to say about this over policing in black communities is that if you have a higher frequency of police in black communities, because there is just a there is a positive correlation between poverty and higher crime rates. And it just so happens that because of the state of the country that we're in right now, there is just a heavier police presence in poorer neighborhoods that are predominantly black. And that's that's just going to lend itself to a higher frequency of confrontations between police officers and residents of those particular neighborhoods. And that's when you're going to continue to see more and more people abused by those law enforcement. Like they're not always abused, but there are times, obviously, when the police use excessive force. And we've seen it so many times over the last however many years that we've been alive.
We have. And the one thing that's going to hinder positive change within police agencies is defunding them. We need to spend more money in these agencies for better training and actually making sure that we have the necessary policies and steps in place that we can seed out, people who are not going to do this well. These are people who are in these high tense situations day in and day out, and they barely have any training when it comes to de-escalation training, when it comes to interaction training, when it comes to the training that actually matters in making sure that all parties come out safely from a confrontation, especially when it comes with
the thing is we only see in the news cycles, we only see the police to potential suspect to just, we only see the bad confrontations. We never see obviously the things that go well, which obviously is the majority of what this is. I mean, it's not like you see an unarmed black man shot by police every single day.
Yeah, I mean, if
in
you
fact, you probably see that more than you see. I mean, just by raw numbers, there are just purely raw numbers. There are more white people who are shot and killed by police than there are black people. It is just the disproportionate amount based on the population. There's 13.4% black population in the United States. They account for about 27% of all police homicides, as opposed to what I think is for white or Caucasian, it's it's like 70%, but account for like 57% of all police homicides.
Right. But then you go on to the crime and you see that black people are, I mean, I don't want to get it.
But I'm saying I know what you're saying. Black people are more likely to be convicted of a crime than white people.
No, not convicted. I'm talking about the murder rate. The black people are 14%, but they account for like 40 something percent of all homicides, for instance. So when you go into it, you're starting to see that there's a more proportionate matter on confrontations with the police, considering how much crime is produced. But I don't want to get into a statistical thing about it, because the thing is that police brutality is a real problem, no matter what the statistics say in terms of black on black crime, in terms of black crime, in terms of white crime, population, all this kind of stuff. The fact that we give police officers this qualified immunity and this power over us as American citizens, no matter your color, is a fucking disgrace. And we need to reevaluate the way that we see this, because why is it allowed in places like Kentucky for somebody to bust open your door and shoot you? Why is it allowed that police have the right to pull you over and go through your shit? Why is that allowed?
With like a civil asset forfeiture. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things that we haven't really gotten to that.
And I think we need to go in, we need to get our heads out of thinking of this as statistics and thinking of it as how can we make sure that we're living more peacefully among each other, but still having that deterrent of the police force. That's the thing. We still need that deterrent as well from people doing.
There's also obviously the issue of police unions and how they've been able to they have like unions do have, like, in terms of like serving workers, there is a good side to unions, but I feel like in the last, that it was very early on, at least here in the United States, where unions were beneficial to like pushing for better pay and for more benefits and like to make sure that they weren't working 6 days a week. Now it's more just like you see it in places where a union is not necessary at all, like particularly in the digital workspace where people are not being abused like blue collar workers are. Like white collar unions, a lot of them just seem to just say fuck you, pay me, that's it. Like that's just how it works. So
right.
But with police unions just literally shoot down everything and are able to keep bad police officers on the force, and just let them continue doing the bad shit that they've done. And that's something that has not really been addressed. And I feel like libertarians have really only been the ones who have been consistent about talking about it.
Right.
And I feel like they've been opening a lot of people's eyes to it. But still a lot of work to be done. I know there are a few more other stories. Just really quick before we get to our halal and haram segment. Some international news. There was some violence that erupted in Sweden over the weekend because some far-right activists decided to burn a Quran. The only reason I feel I need to address this is because I don't care what you do to a Quran. It does not give anyone the right to burn down a whole fucking city or town.
Right.
It's just, it goes back to like the whole Danish cartoonists who were murdered because they drew the Prophet Muhammad. I don't care how offensive it is. It's not worth taking someone else's life or destroying anything. Like that is not.
It's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse. Like if you ever read the Quran, like that is not just. It's not that type of. It's not justified, regardless. Like unless someone's attacking you, like do no harm. It's just it's. I can't believe, like, it's always the stupidest Muslims who make it the worst for us, and they're not even like by Western standards, they would be considered the moderate Muslims, I guess. Right.
No, they would, and that's the problem, and that's why you have people, because they would be considered modern Muslims. You have people till this day defending and putting the blame on Charlie Hebdo for hosting.
Yeah, Anang brings that up. Don't forget Charlie Hebdo. I forgot about that. Charlie Hebdo republishing their cartoons on the eve of the trial of the terrorists.
Hell yeah. That's a ball move right there. That's a ball move. I love it.
What is that? What's that Voltaire quote? Like, I may not disagree. I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. I don't even know if that's attributed to Voltaire, but
Abraham Lincoln.
At that.
All quotes you don't know is Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. Habibraham Lincoln. No, the thing is, like, at that point, if someone is trying to offend you and you react to it in a way that is that is disproportionate to the actual offense being made, like if you're trying to you try to kill somebody, like it's for them drawing a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad. Like I just don't. Like it is so simple to just not kill somebody. And yet all of these people all of these like dumb Muslims, they just cannot seem to not do it. It's just, it drives me nuts. Like they're going to create martyrs out of people that do this and can encourage that behavior even more. Just like do what everybody else does and fucking ignore it.
Right.
Who gives a shit if they burn a Quran? Like it's not like you have to take it upon yourself to be the defender of the faith. Like,
right. And if God is going to put them in hell, what are you going to do that's worse than that? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, why are you going to go to hell with them?
Yeah.
For instance, like there's not going to be anything that's going to be harsher on that person than God's judgment. Who are you to think you're better than? Well, I'm just going into a rant. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good, buddy. And then another, I want to just share this one bit because this is another true Habibi. This is Ahad Nabi. He is the son of his father was gunned down in the Christchurch shooting in the spring of 2019 in New Zealand. And he confronted the shooter.
I ask that he be put in mainstream prison and stop wasting taxpayer money on giving him special treatment and protection. And coming back to this maggot, I would like to say that my 71-year-old dad would have broke you in half if you challenged him to a fight. But you are weak. A sheep with a wolf's jacket on for only 10 minutes of your whole life. I'm strong. And you made me even stronger. Allahu Akbar.
Okay, so that dude's the GOAT right there, and I love
Absolutely.
that he flipped them off at the end. I don't really have much to say about it. I will say, it comes full circle in the sense that when that happened, and Jay, we didn't know each other very well when it happened. We may have been corresponding from time to time, but like that was like the one time where I had people reach out to me and like actually express their condolences. I didn't know anybody at the Christchurch who was shot and killed in the Christchurch shooting, but the fact that they were all Muslim, and I guess the feeling like when something bad happens in the Muslim community, we like all feel it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like it was heartening to know that a lot of people sort of knew that right away, that like I would be feeling it, because like I guess it may happen for those in for followers of Christ or Jews, but when something bad happens that's like a particular hate crime, like I think it's like a community feeling where you have a heightened awareness, heightened sensitivity, and it's hard to not empathize with them.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Anyways, real quick on I know that was sort of a little sensitive moment where Jay and I had a little heart to heart right there.
I felt it.
It
tickled me. They tingled, bro. They tingled.
I know we're a little over 2 hours. We're wrapping up here really quick. I have one last story before we get to our last segment, and that's on what our favorite and worst stories of the week. There was a statistic that was flying around from of Americans who died from coronavirus, purely saying that it was only listed on 6% of death certificates that they died from COVID-19 only, not listing the other comorbidities, which were the other 94%. Ultimately, people were trying to use that, like Charlie Kirk and Benny Johnson and some people on the far right, as a way to say that coronavirus was a hoax. And I guess the one thing that people need to understand is that coronavirus can be really shitty for you and could cause you to lose your life if you also suffer from another underlying health condition, which is why from the very beginning, they're talking about protecting grandma and grandpa and people who had, they had
diabetes or
they had
problems,
health conditions that, like a compromised immunity, like things like that. I feel like they have been consistent on that. And I don't know how they spun it around. Obviously, they didn't really. I haven't seen it much since then, but I feel like we at least have to address it on here and say, don't fall for that shit.
No.
And, because while we may not always get it right, we can at least spot bullshit from a mile away.
Yes, sir.
Which brings us to our last segment for the night. And Habibis, thank you so much for sticking with us, and really appreciate you listening to our whining and moaning. But I say the one halal thing in the week, and this is the good thing, the best thing I've seen this week is it's from this comedian who goes by the name of Kylie Brakeman.
Hello, my name is Suburban Housewife. My bio is 7 random nouns, and I, for one, will be voting for Trump. Hello, my name is Proud American. My job is America, and my husband is a gun. Good afternoon. I am a stock photo of a person of color, and I, for one, do not think Trump is racist. Hello, my name is former Democrat MAGA mom. My hobbies are being real, and my interests are breathing. I, for one, will not be supporting the NBA. I've tweeted this 126 times. I am an eagle wearing a hat. Hello, I am a military veteran. I fought in the wars. Something I care about deeply is the Nielsen ratings for the RNC. Yep, that's me, a real guy. Hello, good sir. We are 1,200 people who all joined Twitter at once. Our dads are cops, and we are trucks.
So this is actually I highlight her. Kylie Brakeman is her name. You can find her on Twitter. I highlight her because I feel like it's important to give people alternatives to fucking Sarah Cooper, who she does is lip sync Trump, and she gets a fucking Netflix special. This woman is infinitely funnier than her, and I will say that she is not just making fun of the right; she's making fun of the left too. Watch this.
Oh yeah.
This. Okay, this. Okay, this. This. That's it. That's the tweet. That's it. That's the tweet. That's it. That's the tweet. I got news for you, Lindsey Graham. The blue wave is a-comin'. This. Okay, Representative Ted Lieu is throwing some serious shade. Nancy Pelosi does not have time for this. You, sir, have won the internet. This is the best thing I've seen all day. Okay, Alyssa Milano has officially had enough of Moscow Mitch, and we are living for it. This the tweet. Internet win of the day goes to you. Let me break it down for you, Donnie Trump. Elizabeth Warren is Hermione. We's the Harry Potter, and you, sir, are Voldemort. Pod save America, indeed. Mommy drinky wine all day. That's it. That's the tweet.
So, like, I those are two videos that I think deserve their props because, like, she's making fun of like Resistance Twitter and then all the Trump bots. That's off to her.
She does it
really well, and that is like if she does. That's it. That's the tweet. if she doesn't get her Netflix special, I might riot on her behalf. Burn and torch in AutoZone. My one haram thing of the week, and this is actually based off of the list because I put Sean King at number 1 because I can't fucking stand him. And this is, I don't have a screenshot. I'm not going to pull it up. It's going to take too long and it's too late in the night. He sent out an email to his 250,000 close friends promoting his book on the heels of Chadwick Boseman's death. And it's just like, I know he's a grifter, but come the fuck on.
250,000 close friends.
Yeah. So
it's so sick.
It's just so bad. Anyways, Habibi, what you got? What's the one thing that's very halal for you this week? And one thing that's motaram.
One thing that is very halal for me this week, and I think is going to be really great, is the finalization for Van de Beek. God damn it.
God, you can't say shit.
You got it back to me. It back to me. It's Van de Beek. His finalization with Man United. He's going to be another. I think he's going to be another Dutch phenomenon for Man United. And I think we're going to see some really, really great things from them coming up this season.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I really am. I think it's going to be special. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot Mr. Arsenal.
But what's your haram thing?
Well, the one haram thing I have was the fucking thing that Linda Sarsour and her buddies were posting out for Brenna Taylor. It was like Brenna Con.
Yeah,
Brianna
Brianna Con or something like
come
that.
to the Bree BQ and shit, and then they're like giving out these fucking party savers and stuff like that on it, and it's just like that is one. It is absolutely fucking sick. It is so fucking disgusting watching these people like Sean King and Linda Sarsour just piggyback off of these people's deaths and pretend like they are some sort of voice for justice. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And I think person Mitch or somebody, he has a great tweet on it too that was showcasing one of the products that was a mask to make you look lighter. And it's like, fuck.
Wow. So
it's bad all around. And
so bad.
Linda Sarsour is like one of those people that I find worse than like when you step in dog shit. You know that feeling you have? Like she's worse than that.
Oh man, we actually hit on everything tonight in 2 hours and 10 minutes. Can you believe it? Can't believe it. I look at him. You see him? He's sleeping in his little doggy bed. Just too precious. Anyways, before we go, we can take some Habibi comments. Let's see here. What is it? Janice says, I need that Pakistani voice from Siraj, like I need air. Arun Kumar. Oh, assalamu alaikum, sir. Siraj Hashmi, what headlines are we making this week? It's a good question. I don't know. I wish I knew.
No, we'll come back next Wednesday and we'll find out.
Inshallah. Carter Scott asks, who's worse, Sarsour or Loomer? Oh man, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one. I think they're worse in their own. Like they're fuck you, Carter. No, that question's so hard because like, they're both.
I'm gonna say Sarsour's. Wait, no, hold on. I'm gonna say Loomer is worse. I've always hated Loomer. At least with Sarsour, like you can tell she's not being accepted by the Democratic Party, whereas Loomer is being embraced by the Republicans, and that is unfortunate. But yes, I agree with Billy Finn. Throw them both into the ocean. Both.
Mashallah.
Takbir. Allahu Akbar. Steve says Siraj Hashmi, Stelter on C-SPAN. What?
Oh, I didn't watch that video either. It's in our DMs and stuff. We gotta watch. We gotta watch it.
All right.
I didn't watch. It's some person on air like really fucking gave it to that piece of fucking shit. Whenever I hear Stelter's name, I just go back to thinking maybe I should jihad one time.
But by the way, I finally got him to follow me.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Because one of the Habibis with the eagle eye saw his laptop screen with his Twitter up. It says, people you might want to follow. And my name was on the top. It was blurry, but my avatar is unmistakable. It's like that dark, that little purpley blue and me in the tan suit.
Yeah, we're not going to want him to follow me. That reminds me of the time that Jake Taper followed me after the article in the Wire, or not in the Rap.
Oh, the Rap
that came out about me, and I called Brian Stelter a little bitch clown, and Jake Taper followed me after that article dropped. That was the most funny thing ever.
So funny.
That was so good.
So I think Jake Taper, he followed me and then unfollowed me, and then he followed me again when the Fox News outed me as a lib. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was just like, I guess that gave him reason to stick around. They always come back. All the
they always do. They always come right around.
They can't. They either can't resist the tan suit or Sharia. One of those two.
It's one or the other.
One or the other. And then Carter Scott answering So Emeriticus is Pedro Gonzalez. That's my Hispanic doppelganger.
Yeah. No, he's making the joke that it wasn't actually you. It was actually him. That would be fucking hilarious if that was the case.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make a pledge to the Habibis that I am going to, as soon as I hit 69,000 followers, I am going to do what I should have done long ago and follow all the Habibis, because I've been ignoring you guys for too long. But I really want to. I'm reaching that goal, 69K.
Hell yeah, you're reaching it. I remember when you were just 5,000.
Yeah, I'm under
just 5,000K.
Less than 3,000.
I think we followed each other when under my first account. I honestly think we did.
Yeah, we did. That's how we got connected. And when I first,
you have like 7 or 10 of all of the people that I was on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. I do. I have a screenshot.
I need that. We should make that into a shirt.
Yeah. I'll find it. We'll do it. Yeah. We also, by the way, we have a bunch of new merch on our website on habibibros.us. Where's that link? There you go. It's also in the show description. Click on it, check it out. We hope to talk about our breakfast, our completely halal, mostly peaceful breakfast shawarma. That is just. I feel like there could be some designs added to it, like where it's mostly peaceful shawarma and there's just like fire in the background. I feel like that could be
right. That could work. Yeah. I could make that happen.
Yeah. Lauren Bowley says, "Who's Siraj Hashmi?" I don't know. Joseph, Connor, Michaela. If that's too many people to follow, you're a fool, Siraj. A fool. Yeah. Thomas says, "Am I gonna have to make a Twitter for Siraj to follow me?" Maybe.
Yeah, that's what's gonna have to happen, Thomas.
Yeah. There is a Steve says gonna start following. Trust me, Habibis. Once I get to 69K, you're gonna get those follow backs. I promise.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's like OCD with me, but it's just like going over 1,000. It's
the OCD.
It's the OCD, and it has nothing to do with anyone personally. It's just literally just the OCD. So that's just.
You can do it.
Yeah,
you can do it. You can. The Habibis, you can do it.
I can do it. I do it for the. I will get over this OCD for the Habibis.
Do it for the Habibis.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, obviously, don't take it personally. It's just it's a thing I'm still trying to work through, and it's a dumb thing. It's a very dumb thing, but it is a thing nonetheless. Wow, we've gone to almost 2 hours and 20 minutes. God damn. All right, Habibs, we're gonna sign off because we've gone on for way too long. But we appreciate all of you for sticking around for the fierce but mostly peaceful Habibis. Y'all been great. I'm gonna upload this right now on the podcast. So if you actually listening to this on the podcast and you're listening to it and being like, "When's the podcast?" You're listening to it right now. All right, Habibis, y'all been great. I'm Siraj Hashmi.
I'm Mujahed Kobbe.
And we'll see you on Twitter and next week, Habibis. Deuces.